Hi, fifth grade. Welcome to week 4. We're moving on from inherited traits to learned behaviors. So we're taking that, and now we're going to be talking particularly about adaptations. So adaptations are the physical or behavior characteristics of an animal, an organism. When I say organism, I'm talking about a living thing. Plants, cells, little bacteria, and even us humans. So animals. So adaptation is how we adjust what we have physically going on or a behavior we have going on. So when you learned about inherited traits and learned behaviors, and inherited traits particularly is that a species has over the years developed and adapted to make it to where it can survive. Now, an example randomly would be if you look at a butterfly, you'll notice that there's different colors in its wings. The reason for that being is that it has learned to adapt to its environment. Environment is where it lives, so it's ecosystem basically. It's like habitat. So if it lives in like a forest that has like a lot of yellows and browns and everything going on, then those butterflies that are very popular in certain parts of the world, their wings have adapted to physically look yellow, black, and brown, so that when they land on like a tree, then they're blending in to protect themselves from predators. So that's what I mean by adaptations for animals. It's taking in inherited traits that have developed over, and this takes couple generations. We're talking like from your great-great-grandparents down to you guys. So it takes a couple generations for the physical traits and those adaptations to actually come into place, because our environments start changing as we change and we start adapting. You even, like if you move from the north to the south like I did, they have this saying that your blood is always thicker when you're in a colder place. So when I was younger, I was very adapted to cold winters. So it wasn't that hard to go outside and complain, oh my goodness, it's cold. But when I moved to Texas, the heat was very hard on me the first couple of years in trying to adapt to that kind of dry heat. As I started moving through, it's been about 25 years or so since I moved to Texas. It's very easy to get through the summers now. It's still hot, but I'm able to adapt. I know what to do and how to do it, and my body has adjusted. Now, what happens though is when I go and visit Mr. Greenwald's family up in Wisconsin, during Christmas, Thanksgiving time, it's cold, and they have the phrase, your blood is thinned. So that means that I'm not used to the cold like Mr. Greenwald's family is, because they live there. They've adapted and they know how to do it. And my body has adapted to where I don't know how I complain if it's like 60 degrees outside or something up there. When it's beautiful weather for them, like that is a summer vacation for them. Versus for us, it's like, oh, this is December kind of weather. So that's what I mean by adaptations. Like, what in your environment have you adapted to? Have you made a big move? Have you seen change? Did you change your look so that you could adapt into your school environment? It's really cool how we adjust as humans and as living creatures, organisms, to be able to survive. So with that being said, so one of your vocabulary words is adaptations. So I will actually write that down for you guys. So this is building, get that right there. This is building from last week. Adaptations are just the particular characteristics. Remember, characteristic is what describes you physically and behavior-wise. Your learned behaviors and inherited traits. So this is actually explaining why you have some of your traits that you do. Learned behaviors, depends, honestly. Learning how to play the guitar versus none of your family members, that is a learned behavior, but it's not an adaptation. So, like I said, it takes quite a few generations for adaptations to stick. And what I mean by generations, we're talking mamas, papas, grandparents, great-grandparents. For us, it took like every generation comes at like roughly every 20 years is a new generation. Now, when it comes to like a butterfly, they might have like 3 or 4 generations happen within a year or two. So it could, it doesn't take very long sometimes for some of these animals to adjust. It takes generations to develop. Okay, so there are there's your first vocabulary word and parts of your notes. Now, the next part, like I said, we're keeping this pretty short this week, is structures. So structures are how the body parts, and are put together on a plant and animal. So if an animal had to adapt, like let's say there is belief that certain animals a lot of animals come from the sea, right? And they learn to adapt by actually walking on land. So that's what a structure is. So they've adapted, a lot of animals, because the earth was once covered in a lot of water. And now they've had structures, which are body parts or characteristics. When they're put together on an organism. So like our little water animals that adapted a long time ago, they didn't have legs to walk on land, so they learned how to come off of the land slowly but surely. And as they start learning how to breathe, they developed lungs. So the gills became lungs, and that became a new structure for them. But also they developed some kind of feet, webbing, whatever that is, in order to be able to live and adjust to their environment. Because they realized, oh, wait a minute, we're probably safer up here than we are over there. So for us as humans, there is belief that we have a tailbone. Maybe one time we used to have a tail. So, and we have developed a structure of a backbone, but possibly we lost our tail along the way. So, there's so many cool different little beliefs and things out there that scientists are trying to still prove. But we are as we are, and that's how we've learned to adapt. So, to go with structure, there's a reason why each organism develops a certain structure. That's because, here is your next vocabulary word, there's a function. Okay? There's a reason. Function means that it's going to do something. There's a use or purpose for it. So imagine us having tails. Besides it being really cool to have a tail, just to say you have one, what's the use or purpose of having it? Right? So sometime down the line, if we really did, we have the tailbone, so if we really did have a tail, it's possible that we lost our function for it. There was no need for us to survive with it. So we just adapted. So that's your notes for this week, is just building on from inherited traits, learned behaviors, have helped us learn to adapt and take on it takes generations to develop, but special ways to help us survive. That's what adaptations mainly are for. Then we can develop structures, body parts, or any part of our body physically that help us be able to adapt to our environment. And there has to be a function, a use or a purpose for why it's been developed. So those fish that came out of the water, they developed lungs and feet, or paws, something to walk with, because there was a function, there was a use or purpose for it. So, for what you're doing this week, there is no challenge, science experiment challenge this week. Instead, I want you guys focusing on your homework. So what it is that when you go into resources, there is a document that's called Adaptations Science Writing - 5th grade. That's the one you're looking for, the science writing. In the science writing, there's what we call a prompt. And I'm sure Miss Henry has taught you what a prompt is. It has a picture and a situation. So it's going to be having you dive deep into why this particular animal has these adaptations. So what you're going to do for me is on the paper, the front part is a brainstorming place for you to get your ideas and get your outline and everything put. I want you following the steps that Mrs. Hamry's taught you on how to write this paper. On the back is beautiful lines on which you can write your paper. So I do not mind if you want to print this out and write on it, it's fine. If you need to print on notebook paper, that's fine as well. Just know that I'm looking for that long of a length of a writing from you guys. Now, when I talk about writing, I'm talking about you're taking your time, you're thinking through your steps, and you're reasoning for why you're saying these adaptations were important for this particular animal. Do not, please, start writing me an essay that talks about your mom's lizard. Okay? It has to actually relate to adaptations, function, structure for this particular prompt of the animal. Give me your whys. Give me your evidence, your backing of everything. You can go online, you can get some facts about it and put those in there. I'm really looking for a very well thought out explanation writing. So that's why we don't have extra work this week. Yes, you do have vocabulary, but there's 3 words, literally, because I want you to focus on this writing and take your time. That's the big thing. If you need to reach out to me because you're not sure which way to go or you don't understand the questions, please let me know. Sooner rather than later. That's what is required this week. You got your notes, those couple of things to build on. Adaptations, got a good idea. If you still aren't sure what adaptations are, go to the enrichment activities. There's a lot of stuff you can do, build an iVideo, all kinds of stuff to help you better understand it. Write it up your little essay for me. Send it to me early and I can read it and I can send it back if you need to make improvements. Also your vocabulary. So homework, vocabulary, explore the enrichment activities. That's it. And I miss you guys. I hope you had a great Easter. I'm actually recording this on Easter, so waiting around to go egg hunting with my kiddos in the backyard. So I'm doing great. Baby's still inside my stomach, and she might be making an appearance next week, so we don't know. I miss you guys, and hope everything's going great. Bye.